What's up guys, it's Tom Ainsworth back with another drum lesson. The piece that you just heard there was the second track from the grade 1 syllabus called Stoneroller. So I'm going to be doing another lesson breakdown similar to what I did last week. If you've not seen my lesson on Belfast to Peru, by all means check it out. I'll have another one next week for In the Pocket, so if that's come out by the time you're watching this, definitely check that out. I'll leave a link at the end of the video. So without further ado, let's get on with it. What I like about this piece is that it's actually got rehearsal markings written into it. So you'll see that you've got your count in there, just your 2 bars, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you've got a big letter A above it. That's just a rehearsal marking, so don't worry about playing anything any differently. You just play exactly how you would. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to be talking about like the A section or the B section, and it just makes it easier if you are rehearsing as a band, or if you're teaching another student or learning this, you can use those rehearsal markings to reference. So your first section's a pretty standard 8th note groove there. If you look at your cymbals, apart from that crash cymbal on beat 1 of the first bar, you've just got straight 8th notes on the hi-hats just chugging away like that, so you need to get used to keeping those going while you're changing the other things. If you also look, your snare drum's always going to be on beats 2 and 4 for this one, pretty much throughout the entire track when you're playing a groove anyway, so that's something. So you've got that ostinato there just going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and just all the way through. It's the kick drum that we're changing. And then once that's down, you want to be looking at bar 4 here, so the first bar of the second line. You've got that little fill. Now this book's completely tailored to right-handed drummers, so that's why you see on the and a, so there's 2 semiquavers at the end of bar 4. You've got right-left on the snare drum. If you are a left-handed drummer, you want to be switching that, so you're playing left-right. Same with all the sticking that you see in these books, just flip it the opposite way around, it'll make it a lot easier to play. The reason it's got the sticking alternating, so doing 2 singles, is so that you can get straight back into the groove, so it's nice and easy onto that crash. If you're playing the groove and then you come down with 2 right hands, you're either going to have to awkwardly crash with your left and then switch back over, or it's just going to sound a bit messy. This way you can just get a nice steady beat going like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, right left, and then you're straight up for that crash cymbal, and then you can get back over to your hi-hats. Now in bar 8, so just below that, you'll notice that you've got another fill there. Between that you've just got pretty much the same groove going on, so once you've got that down, check out bar 8 there. Now again, if you look on the last 2 beats of the bar, you've got that snare drum just going right-left, or left-right if you're left-handed, as I say. So that's going to be exactly the same timing. What you've got before that are your floor tom and your snare drum playing together. Now if you look at the stems of the note, you'll see that they're still connected with 1 stem at the top, meaning they're still 8th notes. So you want to be playing those floor toms and the snare together at the same speed that you would your groove. It sounds a bit like this. So as you see there, the speed just flows nice and steady. It's not rushing, it's not slowing down or anything, it's just keeping that flow. And then those 2 hits, those 2 semiquavers that you've got there, or your 16th notes, go nicely into the B section. Now there's a few things with this bar. The first thing to notice is what cymbal you're actually playing on. So have a look closely, you'll see that it's not actually a hi-hat, you're on your ride cymbal for this. Another thing, you see that F written below it. That just means forte in Italian, so that's loud. If you look again back at the start at bar 1, you'll see it says MF or mezzo forte, so medium loud. So your mezzo forte, I like to play that at kind of a comfortable dynamic for me, so I'm not hitting too hard, I'm not trying to play too soft, and then I try to base the rest of the music around that. In this case, because we've only actually got 2 dynamic changes throughout the song, you could play that mezzo forte or the medium loud a little bit quieter to give you more room to then grow and get higher. So in that B section you're actually going to be changing, so just after you've done that fill you want to come in harder on the crash, and then the ride cymbal, because it rings out longer than the more staccato sounding hi-hats, it should be a little easier to play it louder. You just want to bring that kick drum sound up and you bring that snare up a little bit as well, not too much though. So you might remember from Belfast to Peru we went over a lot of tied notes and the dotted 8th notes, and those were the beats. They ended up falling on the and of a beat. It's the same sort of thing for this one. So if you look in the first bar of the B section, which is bar 9, you'll see on the and of 4 you've got a crash cymbal with a kick drum, but then the following bar you don't have your kick drum on beat 1. So it's really good to get used to just looping those first 2 bars of the B section, bars 9 and 10. They sound a little bit like this. I'll play them a few times. So that's how that sounds. I find it's useful to practice both of the bars there, 9 and 10, just back to back. One, because you're going to be playing it anyway, but then it flows, it kind of finishes that section. If you're just looping the first bar or just looping the second bar there, it doesn't really flow as well. It's not something that you tend to hear in a lot of music, whereas this sequence here where you've got that push, the crash cymbal on the and of 4, that's called a push. You're kind of pushing yourself into the bar earlier than it actually is. That comes up quite a lot in music, so it's really good to get used to that feeling. Now your next fill is in bar 12. Can you see it's going in 4 bar sequences? Again, really common thing in music to change something in the 4th bar. It's great to be able to play a groove consistently over 4 bars. You might have to play for 16, 32 measures at once, just playing the exact same thing, but it's very common to see some kind of subtle change in the 4th bar, particularly if it's going into a different section. So here I'll just play you the fill for that. It's kind of in the middle of the B section, so it's still, energy wants to be really high for this, and it sounds a bit like this. So there I played it twice for you. The first time just exactly how it is. So if you're just practicing that 1 bar, you want to slow that right down and just get used to spacing the notes out nicely. Have a look there, you'll notice I played and we're using the snare drum, the rack tom there and the floor tom all in that fill. So you'll see as they go around, you want to make sure you're hitting the right ones. Again, have a look out for that sticking. There's other ways to play this, but just having that there means that you can get over to the floor tom nice and easy. Right, left, right, left, rather than going right, left, right, left. Then it's got a lot of movement going on there. The second way that I played it, you noticed I went into a crash cymbal and looped that bar just with a crash cymbal. And that's because if you look at bar 13, it's pretty much the same as the start of the B section, or it's exactly the same. So you want to get used to going from that floor tom over onto the crash cymbal because it's quite a long stretch. So if you're struggling to do the whole bar at once, it's good just to practice right, left, right, just on the floor tom. Make sure you get a kick drum with your crash cymbal as well. Just practice those 3 notes over and over again until you feel comfortable with it. So again, back into your B section for the second half of it, and if you look at the end of the second to last line, so it'll be bar 14, you've got again just a little 2/16th note fill at the end of it, just leading into the final kind of outro section for this. So that'll be the same kind of speed that we looked at in bars 4, bar 8. You've just got that twice as fast as your 8th notes. And again, you're going from your floor tom. If you look at bar 15 at the end there, you're going from your floor tom into your crash cymbal again. So that movement's really useful to be learning, using it twice in this song. And that sounds like this. Play the whole of the outro section because it fits together, so I'll go from bar 13 and play right to the end there, and then you can break it down afterwards. I'd look at doing each individual bar separately at first, especially bars 15 and 16. Have a look at those individually and then try and string them together and work the whole B section to the end. So last section going from bar 13 to the end sounds like this. Now in bar 15 there, so the first bar of the very last line of Stoneroller, you might have noticed a little bit of what's called a crescendo, so I actually raised the volume a little bit. And if you look on bar 15, you'll see two little lines just going across like that, and they're kind of like opening up a little bit, just like that. That's a crescendo, and it literally just means that you start off at the previous dynamic and you work up to the one at the end. So you see the end of that bar, it's got FF or fortissimo. That's like very loud. So you've got MF, medium loud, forte for just loud, and then fortissimo there for very loud. So sometimes on a crescendo you'll actually see a dynamic at the very start of it. Because we're coming from a section that's forte, the reason it's not including it is because it assumes that you're already playing at that dynamic and you're just basically going from loud to very loud. So you still want to be hitting kind of forte in this piece. I'm hitting pretty hard, not as hard as I possibly can because I don't want to like ruin the examiner's ears or anything, but you do definitely want to have a change for that final fill. Then bar 16, you've got some 16th note groupings there, 1 E and 2 E and A. So get used to that, because again, follow the sticking. It's slightly different to the fill that we saw in bar 12, so get used to going 1 E and then with a right, and also get used to going 1 E and with a left, because they're two separate things for this one, but the first three beats, the 1 E and, are exactly the same both times round. And then to end this off on a high, you've got 3 big crash cymbals. If you've got one on your right hand side, that'll make it a lot easier, to be honest, like especially if you're going from the floor tom for the fills in the B section, because you can just do right, left, crash, and then you're back over there. For me, I've just got one set up, so again, it means I'm coming from the floor tom, back over to the crash cymbal, and then I'm going right, left, right, and they're all quarter notes there, so we've got 3, 4, 1. So those last 2 bars, we've got bar 16 with the fill, and then into those crashes sound like this. And that's the end of Stoneroller then, guys. Obviously I went through it quite quickly, it's just a 15-minute section. The idea behind this is to work on each individual part that I've just been over. So pause the video like after 2 minutes or so when I've gone over that first section, practice it, get it up to speed, then get the next section down, and you're just piecing it together. I don't expect anyone to be able to just sight read straight through this on the first attempt. You want to break it all down and then piece it together. Really take care with your dynamics, because remember you're starting off at medium loud, mezzo, forte at the very beginning there. B section you've got forte or loud, and then at the very end at bar 15 you have that crescendo up into fortissimo, so very loud there. And then just finishing on a high with those crash cymbals. Remember, listen to your timing, record yourself, check it back. That's the best way to practice with it, just actually hearing what you're doing so you can see how your movements are going, is it all in time. Play along to the click track, because that's really, really useful. Then you've got the music and the click, and then when you're happy, sit the exam. So as always here guys, thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. If you did like the video, it really helps me out if you put a like on that, write a comment, let me know if you change anything to this lesson. I'm looking at maybe implementing some screenshots of the music, so let me know if that would help you out at all. Love to hear your feedback, message me. You can get me on Instagram or Facebook, it's Tom Ainsworth Music. I'll leave links in the description for those. Check out the previous video, I had Belfast to Peru. If it's out yet, you can check out In the Pocket. Those are the 3 kind of really strong pieces there. So it's great to get on board and learn all those. You get some really cool ideas to try in your own songs, or if you're playing along to your own tracks, try them out. Tune in next week then guys, have a great week.